Hello everyone, my name is Juliana Fadila and today we are going to discuss about cognitive and language acquisition in second language learning and how our brains works when learning a second language, especially English. And learning a second language is more than just memorizing words, but it involves memory, problem solving, and practice. And by the end of the sessions, I hope you will understand how our brain processes new language and how we can improve our learning strategies. Have you ever think about how children naturally pick up their first language? They don't study grammar books, but they just listen, repeat, and gradually understand. But as adults, we have to learn differently. Have you ever tried learning a new language but struggled to remember certain words? That's because how our brain process language. Okay, so this is introductions. Second language acquisition or SLA is the process of learning a language after we already know our first language. It's not automatic like first language learning, but we have to actively study and practice. But the good news is our brain is designed to learn language at any age. Imagine you're learning English and you hear the word apple for the first time. At first, it's just a sound, I think, but when you see a picture of an apple and hear the word repeatedly, your brain starts making connections. And this is how SLA works. It's all about making connection between words, meanings, and sounds. Okay, so what is second language acquisition or SLA? SLA is the process of learning another language after we learned our first one. It requires conscious effort because we have to learn new words, sentences structure, and pronunciations. If your first language is Japanese and you are learning English, you might struggle with pronunciation R and L because they don't exist in Japanese in the same way, and your brain has to adjust and create new pathways to recognize and produce these sounds. So, this is key cognitive theories and SLA. First, this is information processing theory. Learning a language is like using a computer. We take in a new information and we process it and store in memory. Example, if you learn a new word like banana today, your brain processes it, and if you use it often, it will stay in your memory. So the second is schema theory. We learn better when we connect new knowledge to what we already know. If you know the word watermelon in English, learning melon becomes easier because they are related. And third is cognitive load theory. Learning too much at once, it can make our brain is overload and slow us down. And an example, if you try to learn 50 new words in one day, you might forget most of them. But if you learn 5 words, practice them, you will remember them better. So, okay, this is the role of memory in language learning. Memory plays a huge role in language learning. There are 3 types of memory involved. First is working memory, second is short-term memory, and then the third is long-term memory. Working memory, it can help us understand and respond in conversations. Short-term memory, it holds a new words for a short time unless repeated. And in long-term memory, stores vocabulary and grammar permanently after enough practice. If someone tells you the Spanish word like perro, it means dog in English, you might remember it for a few minutes. It's called short-term memory. But if you use it in sentences and hear it often, it will stay in your long-term memory. So this is language acquisition models. Okay, crescent input hypothesis. We learn best when we hear slightly difficult but understandable sentences. If you are a beginner in English and hear, the cat is sleeping on the sofa, you might not understand sofa, but you can guess from the context. Connectionist models. Learning happens through repeated exposure. If you hear the word like hello every day, your brain will automatically store and recognize it. Constructivist process. Learning happens when we actively use the language. Practicing conversation in English with friends will help you learn much faster than just reading grammar books. So, how cognitive explains language learning? Cognitivism explains that our brain process and recognize language rules as we learn. Making mistake is part of learning. It's okay. It's very, very okay. Many learners say good. It's like go with ed ending. Yes, GOED instead of saying went because they apply the regular past tense rules like at in the ending. This mistake shows that their brains is recognize patterns even though it hasn't learned regular verbs yet. So effective learning strategies. In metacognitive strategies, it have to planning and evaluating our learning. If you keep a journal of a new English words and review them every week, you're using a metacognitive strategy. Cognitive strategies like repeating words, writing notes, and making associations. You can try to using flashcards to learn a new vocabulary is a cognitive strategy. And social and effective strategies. Practicing with native speaker and staying motivated. You can try it. It's like you can joining an English speaking club will make your speaking more improved fluency and much faster than studying alone. Okay, this is factor affecting second language. Okay, so this is factor affecting second language learning. Not everyone's learn a second language at the same speed or in the same way. Some people pick up it quickly while others struggle. And there are three main factors that affect how well we learn a second language. It's like age, motivations, and environments. In age, children and adults learn language differently. Children can pick up pronunciation naturally, while adults tend to understand grammar and structure better. An example, young learners' advantages. A 5-year-old child who moves to the US will learn English quickly and speak with a perfect accent, while their parents might struggle with their pronunciations. But an adult learning Spanish might understand verb conjunctions like more easily than a child because adults can apply logical rules like that. And in motivation, if you are highly motivated, you will learn a language much faster. Some learners are intrinsically motivated. It's like very interested in the language, while others are extrinsically motivated. It's like learning for school or work like that. In an example is like in extrinsic motivations. A K-pop fans might learn Korean faster because they genuinely enjoy listening to Korean music and watching dramas. But in extrinsic motivations, someone who learning English for a job opportunity might only focus on business-related vocabulary like that. So, in environment, the more you are surrounded by the language, the faster you learn. Example, living in a foreign language is like a foreign country. A student studying in Canada will improve their first much faster than someone learning it in their home country with no English speaker around. Yeah. And using technology. A person who watches Netflix with English subtitle and listen to English podcasts will pick up new word faster than someone who only studies from a textbook. So it has a differences and very significance. So, challenges in second language learning. Learning a second language isn't always easy. Many learners face three major challenges like limited exposure, cognitive overload, and effective filters. In limited exposure, if you don't practice a language regularly, you will forget it. Exposure means how often and how much you use the language in real situations. For example, you forget due to lack of practice. A student learns French in school but never uses it outside class. After graduation, they forget most of what they learned. Yeah. In immersion speed up learnings, a tourist who spent a month in Japan speaking only Japanese will improve much faster than someone taking a 1-hour Japanese class once a week. In cognitive overload, our brain can only handle a certain amount of new information at once. If we try to learn too much too fast, we end up forgetting most of it. An example, overloading vocabulary learning. Trying to memorize 100 new words in one day might feel productive, but in reality, you might only remember 5 of them by the next day. And another example, learning in small steps is better. Instead of memorizing a whole dictionary, learning 5 until 10 words per day and using them in sentences will help with retentions. So, okay, effective filters. Our emotion can help or block our language learning. If we feel nervous, embarrassed, or afraid of making mistakes, our brain resists learning. An example, fear of speaking in public. A student who afraid of pronouncing words incorrectly might avoid speaking in English, even if they understand grammar perfectly. Yes. Another example, building confidence through small wins. A teacher who encourages students by saying, "Good try," even when they make mistakes, help reduce fear and improves learning. So, how teacher can help? Teachers play a crucial role in making second language learning easier, more engaging, and more effective. So, here are 3 key ways teacher can help: providing real-world example, encouraging interactive learning, and offering positive support. Teacher can giving a real-world example like learning from a textbook is not enough. Teachers should connect, listen to real-life situations to make the language feel useful and meaningful. An example, context-based learning. Instead of just teaching vocabulary, a teacher might take students to a cafe and practice ordering food in English like that. Or maybe you can authentic material like using English newspaper, songs, and movie clips in lesson help students hear natural speech. And second, encouraging interactive learning like speaking and role playing. Students learn best when they actively use the language, like role playing, discussion, and group activities improve fluency. An example, in role playing in class, a teacher asks students to act as restaurant customer and waiters practicing ordering food in English. Or maybe we can try debate and discussion. It's like having student debate topic in English help them practice forming sentences under pressure. And the last one is supporting student with positive feedback. Students need confidence to speak and make mistakes, and a teacher encouragement can help remove fear and improve learning. An example, correcting mistake gently. Instead of saying, "That's wrong," a teacher can say, "That was class. Try and say it's like this." So, another example is like celebrating small progress. A teacher who tells students, "You improved a lot since last month," it can help build motivation and confidence. So, in conclusions, learning a second language is a complex but rewarding process. And by understanding how our brains works, using good learning strategies, and practicing regularly, we can improve our skill effectively. If you watch English movies, practice speaking with friends, and write short stories, you will improve much faster than someone who only memorizes vocabulary lists. So, I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.